that any better at this point with the bell passed? I'll note as well the reason that the train is passing by slowly is out of respect for the fact that Lilly and Jack are missing here. So it's passing slow in order to have their staff be aware and note the ongoing missing person investigation happening in the area here. So that just does again speak to the number of people involved and aware of this search and everything that's happening in this area, and the awareness and the way that the information has spread so widely through Nova Scotia and Canada. So I think we were with your question.
They didn't just disappear. Lilly and Jack Sullivan didn't wander off into the woods and get lost like a pair of curious toddlers. Something far deeper and darker happened on that morning of May 2nd, 2025. And in the weeks since, every fresh detail has only deepened the mystery. This is what really happened to Lilly and Jack. And the final updates reveal dark secrets that point not at the forest, but at the people who should have been their protectors. On the mist-shrouded morning of May 2nd, 6-year-old Lilly and her 4-year-old brother Jack played in the cramped 800-square-foot trailer they shared with their mother, Malia Brooks Murray, and her partner, 33-year-old Daniel Martell. The trailer sat at the end of the dirt road in Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia, a place so remote that self-service stopped half a mile away, and the nearest town lay 15 minutes down winding country lanes. Neighbors numbered fewer than 100, and everyone knew everyone else's business, or thought they did. At around 8 a.m., Malia told investigators she was dozing in and out of sleep, listening to Lily's bright laughter and Jack's chatter as they rummaged through toys in the next room. Daniel claimed he was awake, standing in the kitchen near their baby daughter's crib, and saw Lilly peering to the bedroom doorway, wearing a pink shirt he later described with unnerving precision. He said he heard Jack in the kitchen, but didn't actually see him. Both agreed that by 9:40 a.m., an hour Daniel later, revised at 10 o'clock, the laughter and voices stopped. They leapt from their beds to search the trailer and the yard. The sliding glass door, they said, stood slightly ajar. In any other household, that would have been the alarm. The creak of the track, the clatter of the lock, the rattle of the frame against the weather stripping. In every trailer of that model, the door screeches if you so much as breathe on it. Yet neither adult heard a thing. Neither heard two small children slipping out, climbing a fence built to keep the chickens in, and vanishing into the pine and birch. They called neighbors. They yelled and shouted. They called 911 at exactly 10:03 a.m. According to one dispatch log, however, first responders marked the disappearance at closer to 8 a.m. No one has ever explained that 2-hour gap. By 10:15, the RCMP had established a command post. By noon, nearly 160 volunteers fanned out across 5.5 square kilometers of marshy bogs, fallen hurricane debris, and rocky creek beds. For K-9 teams, drones equipped with thermal imaging and 2 helicopters joined in. Underwater divers scanned ponds and culverts within a kilometer of the trailer. But after days of exhaustive searching, only 2 boot prints, 10 feet from the back porch, emerged. No toys, no backpacks, no broken sticks, no sign of the children's passage beyond that limited radius. Search dogs, trained to follow even faint scent trails, lost all trace almost immediately. From the outset, investigators treated the disappearance not as a routine lost kid case, but as a potential crime scene. Within 24 hours, the RCMP's Major Crimes Unit was called in, an unusually rapid escalation reserved for homicides and violent crimes. Staff Sergeant Curtis McKinnon stunned media when he announced that on day 2 he had homicide detectives on the case. "We treat all missing person files as suspicious until we determine otherwise," he said. Major Crimes has been the lead since day 2. That admission spoke volumes. Law enforcement suspected something more sinister than 2 children lost in the woods. Yet the real red flags lay not in the forest, but inside the trailer and in the parents' words and behaviors. Daniel's first interviews felt scripted. He repeated the same phrasing and pauses with metronomic accuracy. "We woke up, went to check, and they were gone." He eagerly volunteered for a polygraph, but only if an external examiner was flown in from outside Canada. "I want to clear it up for everyone," he insisted. Polygraphs are notoriously unreliable and already available through RCMP resources. Insisting on an outside examiner sounded less like transparency and more like a stall tactic. Delay scrutiny, control the narrative, let public attention wane. Malia, by contrast, spoke in fractured sentences and avoided the word I. She framed every action as we, diffusing responsibility. One moment she claimed Lilly had been kept homesick for 2 days. The next she said the kids only missed Thursday and Friday. Investigators found no medical records, pharmacy receipts, or witness statements to corroborate any illness. Yet on May 2nd, she insisted she heard them playing and then noticed only silence. In genuine missing person cases, parents' voices tremble with raw emotion, their grief raw and unfiltered. Here, both adults sounded oddly composed, as though performing for cameras rather than pleading for their children's return. Adding to the confusion were the gap days between April 29th, when the children last boarded the school bus, and May 2nd. Brian Ward, the Salt Springs Elementary bus driver, confirmed he dropped them off at the trailer on April 29th and never saw them again. Neighbors, school staff, and family friends reported no sightings on April 30th or May 1st. Yet on Friday morning, the parents claimed the children's laughter had echoed through the trailer. If Lilly was truly too ill to attend school, where was the medical evidence? And who watched Jack in her absence? These unaccounted 48 to 72 hours became the dark void at the heart of the case, suggesting a story scripted days before May 2nd. Physical evidence contradictions piled up. Daniel initially reported Jack in only a pull-up diaper and dinosaur print boots, and Lilly carrying her white strawberry patterned backpack. Later, both accounts shifted. Jack was fully dressed in brown clothes, and the backpack's fate went from found near the home to possibly left in the woods. Then an audio recording surfaced in which Malia wondered whether Lily's pink blanket might still be in the trailer, contradicting Daniel's confident assertion that it had been recovered. In any disappearance built on minute details, shifting stories about a child's shoes, blankets, and backpack signaled deception. Even more chilling were the strange items found scattered in a section of forest where no other children or camping parties had been seen. A pink blanket, children's shirts, a lone water bottle. None belonged to Lilly or Jack. In a radius with no other families, those foreign items suggested someone had staged evidence, as though the forest itself were whispering, "Something happened here, just not what you think." On May 9th, RCMP dive teams began underwater searches in nearby lakes, equipped with sonar mapping boats, after considering that bodies might have been concealed in water. At Stellan's RCMP detachment, someone left a white teddy bear and a small bouquet of flowers. No names, no cards, forming a makeshift memorial before the children were officially declared dead. On May 13th, in what many experts call the most telling misstep, the RCMP issued a press release correcting Lily's name, spelling it with a double L after 11 days of using a single L. Such a basic typo, after hundreds of hours of investigation and communication with the family, spoke of a breakdown in coordination and focus. By May 15th, investigators had interviewed 35 persons of interest and logged over 180 tips. Most dead ends. Multiple RCMP units, from forensics to behavioral sciences, were engaged. On May 17th, fresh search and rescue teams returned. Over 100 volunteers from 5 different squads covering new areas and re-exhausting old ones, only to wind down again by May 18th. "We don't anticipate continuing tomorrow," search manager Amy Hansen admitted, her voice weary. The massive rescue mission quietly shifted into a forensic investigation. Searchers were called off. Yellow tape fluttered in the breeze where tents and helicopters once stood, marking a crime scene rather than a rescue zone. Online, the story exploded across social media. Hashtag Find Lilly and Jack trended on X. TikTok creators amassed millions of views on what happened so far clips, and armchair detectives dissected every word from every press conference. Under Nova Scotia's Cyber Protection Act, lawyers warned those spreading unverified rumors of civil or criminal liability. The RCMP urged restraint. Rely on verified tips. They said, even as investigators themselves deployed AI-assisted analysis of tip line calls, ground-penetrating radar near the old fishing cabin, and undercover outreach to transient communities along Route 246, evidence of the depth of official doubt. Community leaders demanded answers. SciPec and Catholic elder Marie Bernard blasted the absence of an Amber Alert. If these were non-Indigenous children, there would have been an alert instantly. Over 20,000 people signed petitions calling for Amber Alert reform in Nova Scotia, decrying the systemic bias that delays emergency notifications for isolated and Indigenous families. Experts weighed in, highlighting impossible scenarios. Michelle Genies, a former family crimes detective, called a 48-hour blackout unheard of, noting that in rural areas someone almost always spots young children. Michael Arnfield, a criminologist at Western University, bluntly stated, compared to hundreds of missing children investigations, this case violates every pattern. It veered off course too early and vital leads were lost. Glenn Brown, a retired RCMP dog handler with 26 years of experience, said, I find it hard to believe these kids could vanish without a trace. Not a twig broken, not a scent trail beyond 10 feet. As the days turned to weeks, the weight of grief settled over Lansdowne Station. Each morning, Brian Ward drove past a white trailer. The empty front seat name tags still taped above the bus seats where Lilly and Jack once sat. Inside the trailer, children's artwork hung frozen in time. Lily's drawing reading, My mom makes cupcakes. She plays with toys. I love my mom, and Jack's bright red painting of a bug. Outside, a tricycle lay on its side in the dirt, a plastic shovel wedged beneath a log. Mid-play moments preserved like crime scene evidence. By mid-June, nearly 7 weeks had passed. The RCMP's public statements grew stilted. The probability of survival is extremely small. McKinnon admitted on May 7th, We are not packing up and we are not giving up, he added. But survival odds for 2 small children in dense forest in spring tick season with freezing nights truly were slim. Yet even the landscape seemed complicit in silence. Drones with FLIR thermal imaging had scanned the canopy, but summer foliage and warm rocks blurred heat signatures. Ground teams, emerging scratched and exhausted from understory thickets and fallen hurricane debris, confirmed that every inch had been combed. Debris streams, creek beds, rock outcrops, hasty grids, and detailed sweeps. Still no bodies, no clothing, no trace beyond 2 prints. Theories proliferated, parents or other household members. A stray drug paraphernalia. Rumor pointed to instability on the property. A white van sighting at 9:57 a.m. sparked speculation, but produced no driver or vehicle. Human trafficking, cult abduction. Each theory gained traction online, then fizzled under lack of evidence. Officially, the RCMP maintained an open mind. No theory is discounted. They said, but every new rumor required vetting. Through it all, one truth remained. Lilly and Jack didn't just disappear. They were taken, or worse, harmed, by someone who understood how to control the scene, manipulate timelines, and engineer red herrings. Their parents fractured narratives, the 48-hour gap, the silent sliding door, the shifting descriptions of clothing and personal items, the abrupt search suspensions, the pre-disappearance surveillance requests, the unusually early major crimes involvement, all pointed away from folklore lost children and toward a calculated deception. In a world bristling with surveillance cameras, GPS tracking, and constant digital signals, 2 children vanished as though erased from reality. Their townspeople, investigators, and armchair sleuths have combed every corner, but the truth lies buried deeper, beneath the silence, in the contradictions, in the behaviors of those charged with their care. This case will not fade from memory because it transcends tragedy. It forces us to ask uncomfortable questions about trust, responsibility, and the dark capacity humans have to conceal the unthinkable. Even now, as pink ribbons flutter on fence posts and teddy bears gather dust at the detachment, one question haunts us more than any other. What really happened to Lilly and Jack Sullivan? And until we have that answer, their disappearance will remain one of the darkest, most confounding mysteries in modern Canadian history. Proof that sometimes the deepest secrets are hidden right at home,